Welcome to the Bin Zone. Today we're deep diving into the mysterious and darkly humorous world of Beetlejuice. We're not just scratching the surface, we're going to explore the deep, untold lore of Beetlejuice, uncovering the origins, the powers, and the dark secrets that make him one of the most unique, dangerous, and frightening beings ever. But before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We regularly upload hidden gems, character profiles, and deep dives just like this one. But now, let's get into the world of the ghost with the most. First up, we'll be uncovering the mysterious origins of Beetlejuice in the afterlife. Who was he before he became this trickster spirit? How did he end up as a ghost? And what rules govern his existence in this bizarre world of the afterlife? Beetlejuice, or Betelgeuse as he's sometimes called, wasn't always the chaotic ghost we know today. His origins are shrouded in mystery, but through the movie and the animated series, we can start to piece together the story of how he came to be. Beetlejuice's name is one of the most intriguing aspects of his character, and at first glance, it seems simple enough. You would just associate it with the fact that he loves to eat and drink on beetles. However, Beetlejuice's name has a much deeper and cosmic origin. The real source of his name comes from the star Betelgeuse, a massive red supergiant located in the constellation of Orion. In the movie, his name is even written as Betelgeuse, indicating a direct connection to the celestial body. In the movie, saying his name 3 times summons him, which adds a magical, almost ritualistic element to his character. Much like calling upon a cosmic force, invoking his name pulls him into the realm of the living, further linking him to the celestial and mythical origins of the Betelgeuse star. By blending the grotesque association with beetles and the star's cosmic significance, Beetlejuice's name becomes a layered symbol for his character. Let's talk about the world of the dead as depicted in the classic movie. The afterlife in Beetlejuice is portrayed as a bureaucratic nightmare, a place where even the deceased have to deal with paperwork, long lies, and caseworkers like Juno. Beetlejuice himself is a bioexorcist, a spirit who specializes in getting rid of the living, a job he seems to have taken on after his death. But who was he just before all this? While the movie doesn't give us a complete backstory, hints are dropped about his past life as a human, how he was around during the bubonic plague, how he went to an Ivy League institution, and in an earlier draft of the script, they even suggested that he was a man who committed suicide, which is why he's bound to the netherworld, unable to move on like other spirits. This aligns with the movie's depiction of the other deceased characters who took their own lives and are now trapped in mundane eternal tasks. Even then, the original concept for Beetlejuice was even much darker. Earlier drafts of the script described him as a winged demon, a stark contrast to the mischievous, albeit disturbing character we eventually got. This demon-like aspect was toned down, but elements remain in the final version. For example, Beetlejuice's ability to transform into grotesque and terrifying forms hint at a much more malevolent origin. So how did Beetlejuice transition from a possible human spirit to the outrageous ghost we see in the movie? It seems that after his death, Beetlejuice was either conscripted or volunteered to be a bioexorcist. Using his newfound powers to cause chaos among the living, this job allowed him to escape the mundane afterlife that the other spirits are trapped in. But it also made him something of a rogue, unbound by the same rules that govern other ghosts. While we don't have the full details of Beetlejuice's origins, the hints dropped throughout the movie and the darker tones from the earlier scripts suggest a much more sinister backstory. What are the powers that he has and what are their limits? Beetlejuice isn't just an ordinary ghost. He's a master of the supernatural, capable of bending reality to his will. One of the first things we notice about Beetlejuice is his powers to shapeshift. Whether he's turning into a snake, transforming his head into a carousel, or morphing into a monstrous form to scare the living, shape-shifting is one of his signature abilities. This power is also not just for show. It's a reflection of his chaotic nature, and his most powerful ability is his power to manipulate reality. We see this when he creates objects out of thin air or alters the physical environment around him. For example, he creates a miniature graveyard to trick the Maitlands, and later he conjures up a bizarre wedding ceremony in an attempt to marry Lydia. This ability to warp reality suggests that Beetlejuice's powers go beyond those of a typical ghost. He's operating on a level that's closer to a demonic entity. But we all know with great power comes great responsibility, or in Beetlejuice's case, a complete disregard for responsibility. His powers are as much a curse as they are a gift. Beetlejuice is bound by certain rules, some of which we can only speculate about. For instance, he can't leave the netherworld unless summoned by name, and he seems to be trapped in a cycle of causing chaos and being punished for it. There's also the question of whether Beetlejuice's powers have limits. While he can manipulate the physical world, his powers are somewhat constrained when dealing with other supernatural beings. For example, Juno, his former caseworker, seems to have authority over him, and he's unable to completely control the Maitlands or Lydia without their consent. This suggests that Beetlejuice's powers are not all-encompassing. They're tied to the rules of the afterlife, which even he can't break entirely. It's worth noting that Beetlejuice's powers are closely linked to his personality. His chaotic, unpredictable nature is reflected in his abilities. His shape-shifting and reality-warping powers are only limited by the rules of the afterlife, which he constantly tests and pushes the boundaries of. While Beetlejuice is powerful and may be a comedic character on the surface, Beneath the jokes and the antics lies a much darker side. One of the most unsettling aspects of Beetlejuice is his obsession with Lydia Dietz. Throughout the movie, he repeatedly tries to manipulate and marry Lydia, a young girl, as a means to escape the netherworld. This fixation is more than just a plot device. It hints at a much darker motivation. If we look at some of the earlier scripts again, what he wanted to do to Lydia, the grape that he wanted to inflict on her, Beetlejuice's interest in Lydia go beyond mere escape. This adds a layer of malevolence to his character that isn't immediately apparent. Another dark aspect of Beetlejuice is his willingness to cause harm, both to the living and the dead. While he's primarily depicted as a trickster, there are moments in the movie where his actions cross the line from mischievous to outright dangerous. For example, when he transforms into a snake, he nearly kills Charles Dietz in a fit of rage. This incident reveals that Beetlejuice's chaotic nature can quickly turn deadly, especially when he doesn't get his way. But perhaps the darkest secret of it all is the suggestion that Beetlejuice is more than just a ghost. He may be something far more sinister. The earlier interpretations of the character suggest that he's a demon or even a fallen angel. Given his powers and his disregard for the rules of the afterlife, while the movie version of Beetlejuice is more comedic, the remnants of this darker interpretation can still be seen in his actions and motivations, which also ties back into Beetlejuice's past. While the movie doesn't give us the full backstory, some clues suggest that Beetlejuice was not a good person in life. His crude behavior, his love for chaos, and his complete lack of empathy all point to a troubled past. Whether he was a con artist, a criminal, or something worse, it's clear that Beetlejuice's current state is a reflection of the person he was when he was alive. And this is further augmented by the world in which Beetlejuice lives. Because the world of Beetlejuice is one of the most unique and imaginative depictions of the afterlife we've seen on screen. It's a place where the rules of the living world don't apply, where the dead exist in a strange bureaucratic limbo. The netherworld is depicted as a twisted reflection of the living world, complete with its own set of rules and regulations. It's a place where the dead have to deal with paperwork, waiting rooms, caseworkers, all which are designed to keep them in line. This depiction of the afterlife is both humorous and unsettling. It suggests that death is not an escape from the mundane struggles of life, but rather an extension of them. One of the key characters in the netherworld is Juno, the caseworker who oversees the recently deceased. Juno is a no-nonsense figure who enforces the rules of the afterlife, and she seems to have a particular disdain for Beetlejuice. Her relationship with Beetlejuice hints at a past where he was a much more dangerous figure, and it's clear that she sees him as a troublemaker who needs to be kept in check. Another interesting aspect of the netherworld is the concept of the Handbook of the Recently Deceased. This book serves as a guide for the newly dead, explaining the rules and procedures they need to follow. However, the handbook is deliberately vague and difficult to understand, which adds a sense of confusion and frustration. Beetlejuice, of course, completely disregards the handbook, further emphasizing his rebellious nature. The world of Beetlejuice is a rich, complex universe that goes far beyond the typical depictions of the afterlife. It's a place where the rules are constantly being bent and broken and where chaos reigns supreme. Whether it's in the netherworld or the living world, Beetlejuice's presence brings a sense of unpredictability and danger. And guys, that's pretty much all we know about the history of Beetlejuice. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into characters and stories you love. And as always, if you have any thoughts or theories about Beetlejuice, feel free to share them in the comment section below. And guys, until next time,
it's showtime.